Interview with Jeannie Cheatham by Mariea Antoinette. My first question is, how do you come to music as a child? And did you study music theory? Yeah, to both. I did some music like most black kids through church. I started playing for church when I was about 5 years old because the one-arm piano player we had went to Detroit. One arm? He did. He had one arm cut off, but he would play enough for the church to do the hymns and sing. But we didn't think it was anything because he got over the keys. So I took over when I was 5 years old. But I didn't take over formally until I went to school at 6 years old. I took lessons from a piano teacher that came around once a week on Saturday, Mr. H., who came from London, England, Arthur Riley. Was he a white guy or black? He was white. I got a thorough browning in classical music with him because I took lessons with him until I was 13 years old. I used to play classical music and church music. Nice mix. You had the gospel and the structure. That was a good balance. Exactly. It made for a good background. He was very strict. He used to make me practice scales with pennies on the back of my hand. Oh, wow. For a good hand position? You betcha. Well, I had a Russian teacher, so I know that whole drill. You know what I'm talking about then. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. The whole routine, they're very thorough. You have to play it right. Yeah, a couple of times I wanted to go out and play ball, but I was taking my lesson, and he said, Mrs. Evans, Genie is not ready to study today. And he'd get up and walk out. What? Yeah. Genie? Well, that's the foundation. You know, the strictness, because they want it right. Yes. I wouldn't give anything for the grounding, the foundation, and the fingering. All the musicians said, you've got perfect fingering. Technique. It also teaches you not to have problems with your hands. I've never had problems with my hands, carpal tunnel, or any of that stuff. No, they gave exercises to make sure I didn't get arthritis. That's interesting because I'm a harpist. A lot of the harpists that have been in the game for a minute have problems with their hands. But I had a Russian teacher. I don't have issues with my hands at all. And she said, if you do the technique right, you can play forever. Forever. That's right. Jeannie, do you compose music? Yes. All the albums we recorded is my music. Jeannie Cheatham did the music and I did the writing. We have 10 or 12 albums with our label Concord Records. People are still buying them. And what amazes me is they always say that a band or orchestra lasts about 7 years. Unless they change the track, you just got to keep reinventing yourself. But they've been playing with Speed Records since we recorded in the 1980s, and they're still playing it all over the world. And probably a lot more. I would think maybe in Europe. All over the world. Yeah, because they have an appreciation for your music. The reason I know is because Ascap keeps track. I belong to Ascap, and they send me royalties every 6 months or so. They send me a check, and on the back of it is listed everywhere it has been played on the radio, TV, or by personal appearances. All the countries you can think of are listed. Some I don't even know. Genie, that's quite a bit of history. Oh, yes. Is there anything in your career that stands out as a stellar point or moment that you'll never forget? I think the whole thing. The thing is that most jazz musicians are operating on a different frequency. They prove that scientifically, where the brain fires up and where it doesn't fire up. Jazz musicians have a thing about the brain, a blood brain barrier that is unique because of the improvisation. You can't just sit there and play something you've been practicing like Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, Chopin, or any of the classical music. You practice and practice and practice until you get it right. Right. But with jazz, you don't know what you're going to do when you get up there. You got to have a certain kind of faith. Yes, you have to trust yourself. That's it. Trust where the music is going to come from. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because you got musicians I know, real selfish musicians. Very good as far as manipulation. I mean, manipulation of the instrument, but they don't have any soul. I see. But all the guys in my band had soul and faith. They were all different kinds of religions in the band. Some of them switched to Buddhism or they were Muslim. But they were aware of where the music came from and they were loyal. I still have contact with my trumpet player Nolan Shahid and Charlie Owens. One of them died. I'll be 92 tomorrow. August 14th, 2019. Wow, congratulations. But they were younger than me and they are still loyal. Yeah, when I said they would drop their things to do what we were booked for all these years from 1983 until today, over 40 years. That was the advantage, and none of them were dope addicts. We all drank gin and Courvoisier. For me, you could sip one or two, which could last all night, and for a vocalist, it warmed your throat. You never use ice. Because if it's cold, it's something else. Yes, Mariea, it messes with your vocal cords. How many songs have you composed, Jeannie? Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I keep some of this close because sometimes people call from all over. This morning I got a call from Israel at 4 o'clock in the morning. Jeannie Cheatham is a living legend in jazz and blues, a pianist, singer, songwriter, and co-leader of the Sweet Baby Blues Band. She has played and sung with many of the greats in blues and jazz. T-Bone Walker, Dinah Washington, Cab Calloway, Joe Williams, Al Hibbler, Odetta, and Jimmy Witherspoon. Cheatham toured with Big Mama Thornton off and on for 10 years and was featured with Thornton and Sippy Wallace in the award-winning PBS documentary, 3 Generations of the Blues. Her music, which has garnered national and international acclaim, has been described as unrestrained, exuberant, soulful, rollicking, wicked, virtuous, wild, and truthful. Cheatham's signature song, Meet Me With Your Black Drawers On, is a staple in jazz and blues clubs across America and in Europe, Africa, and in this delightfully frank autobiography, Jeannie Cheatham recalls a life that has been as exuberant, virtuous, wild, and truthful as her music. She begins in Akron, Ohio, where she grew up in a vibrant, multi-ethnic neighborhood surrounded by a family of strong women. From those roots, she launched a musical career that took her from the Midwest to California, doing time along the way from a jail cell in Dayton, Ohio, where she was innocently caught in a police raid, to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she and Jeannie Cheatham taught music. Cheatham writes of a life spent fighting racism and sexism, of rage and resolve, misery and miracles, betrayals and triumphs, of faith almost lost in dark places, but mysteriously regained in a flash of light. Cheatham's autobiography is also a story of her 50 years and counting love affair and musical collaboration with her husband and band partner, Jeannie Cheatham.